personal financial plan. Remember earlier I said that habits transfer, right? They transfer. You're not just gonna click on and things gonna be great all of a sudden, okay? So with habits transferring, if you are terrible with your personal finances, boo-boo, you probably gonna be terrible with your business finances, okay? Hey, rich friends of the Rise Women's Network. I'm super excited to be sharing this amazing information with you on how you can literally quit your job and become your own boss, right? I want to give you some steps, some practical steps, step by step to make sure that you're doing the proper things to get you ready. So who am I? I am Candace, your revenue growth strategist, showing you how to grow your revenue without using your labor. And here in the Tax-Free Life Network, we teach people how to use tax and financial strategies to keep more of their hard-earned money in their pockets. So that's what we do. So I'm going to promise you one thing. I'm going to promise you that you're going to learn how not to make the same mistakes that I made when it came to quitting my job and tearing up my credit because I didn't have a real plan. I'm going to teach you how to make sure you don't go into more debt during the process. I'm going to teach you how to make sure you don't clear out all of your funds and everything you worked hard for during the process of trying to live your dream. So I'm super excited to be sharing with you, and I'm going to give you 5 simple tips, right? 5 simple tips and steps to make sure that you're doing the things that are necessary for you to quit your job and become your own boss. So let's get started. The first thing I'm going to encourage you to do is to make sure you give 100% on your job. I know you're like, Candace, now why would you tell me that? I say that because as humans, we're creatures of habit. We're creatures of habit, therefore our habits transfer. So if you're a mediocre employee, guess what? It's likely that you're going to be a mediocre entrepreneur, okay? It's so common. It happens, and many people don't believe me, but I promise you want to do like Jim Rohn says, and you want to do more than you're paid for. You want to make sure that you're on time and that you're doing the necessary things. Also, even on top of that, if you ever need to go back, I'm not saying you're going to go back, okay? But if you ever needed to go back, you still have a good reputation at that position that you're currently in if that was something you needed to do. So make sure you give 100% on your current job, all right? Now, the second thing I'm going to say, that was really simple. I know you're like, Candace, you going to give me more than that? Absolutely. I got to just start out with the light stuff because, those are simple things. So I had a friend told me, he said, Candace, if I just had more time and I wasn't working this job, I wasn't here all the time, I'd have more time to build my business and work my business and do what I was called to this earth to do. And I laughed. I said, well, it sounds good, but I encourage you, don't leave your job prematurely thinking that it'll give you more time. So have you ever actually had moments to where you maybe had a day off and you look up and the time just flew by and it's 5 or 6 o'clock and you're like, what did I do all day? I didn't get anything done. Well, maybe it's just me, right? It's okay. Well, that is going to lead into the second one, because I'm going to say number 2 is to make sure that you practice activity management. Now, some people say time management. I don't believe that you can manage time. I'm a believer that there's 24 hours in a day. There's about 1,400 minutes in a day. There's about 86,000 seconds in a day. Don't quote me on the exacts, but it's about right? 24 hours in a day. Time cannot be created nor destroyed, and there's nothing you can do about that. But you can manage your activities. So if you manage your activities and what you're doing with your day and how you're spending your time, then that's what you can do while you're working. Don't think that just because you quit your job, that's going to make everything just switch on all of a sudden. It does not happen that way. So I encourage you, don't be like my friend and quit your job too early because you feel like it'll give you more time to do what you need to do. It gives you more time, but it really doesn't. If you don't practice time or activity management. There we go. If you don't practice activity management, making sure you do that, because you can always make more money, but you can never make more time. So that's amazing, right? Right. So let's talk about it. You want to make sure, number 1, you do more than you're paid for on your job. Give them 110%, right? And then number 2, you want to make sure you practice activity management. The third thing you want to do before you get ready to leave your job and you're getting ready to quit your job and become your own boss, this one's going to be like out of the way. Are you ready? I hope you got your pen and pad, because action takers are money makers. And if you're ready to take these action steps, you are taking notes. And if you're a money maker, the first action you ever take is to take notes. Oh, you already knew that though. Okay. All right, you ready? Let's do it. The third thing you want to do is to hire yourself a tax professional. What? So you don't have to be everything in your business. You want to hire yourself a tax professional right now while you're doing your business on the side. You have your full-time job and doing your business on part-time. You hire yourself a tax professional that'll be able to educate you on the proper steps, the proper tax deductions. Most people go out of business, especially small businesses. They go out of business because they're overpaying their taxes. They don't know how the system works, and there's so much information that they have no idea about. So I'm encouraging you to interview your tax professional. Interview your tax professional. What should you ask them? You should ask them, what percentage of business returns versus personal returns does your company provide for people? That's a great question, because you want to see if they have experience in business returns. Very important. What about this question? You should ask them, are you available all year round? Or you don't ask them this part, right? Are you just a pop-up shop? You don't have to say it that way, but you want to ask them, hey, are you available? Is your office open year round? Can I stop by and speak with you? Or what all services do you all provide is another good question that you can ask inside of that area, because you want to make sure that your tax professional is there for you. You want to make sure that they have the services that you'll need as your business begins to expand and grow. Okay. Another question that you can ask them is, what kind of associations are you a part of? Now, when you ask that question, you're really looking for an answer that relates to how they're continuing their education. The tax laws are constantly changing. There's so much information that has to be learned and known, and it's always changing, that you want to make sure your tax professional is staying on top of things, and ask them those questions. The last thing, and it's not really the last one, but the last one I'll mention right now, is to make sure you ask your tax professional, what is your goal for your clients? What do you see them going? Like, what makes you different from the other tax professionals or tax companies? Be sure you ask that question, then you be quiet. You say, you guys seem to have a really wonderful company. What makes you all different from the other tax professionals? And then be quiet. You see the crickets? You see it? I know. You want to ask and then be quiet. The reason I say that is because whatever that answer is, you're going to be able to learn a whole lot about that company, and to make sure that your goals and your visions and what you have for your company also match with the tax professional that's there. The other thing that I want to encourage is to be sure that you remember this thing. So Trevor often says it. Trevor Ossey says, one of the challenges that we face today, especially as entrepreneurs, is our addiction to our labor. We feel like we have to be everything in our businesses. We feel like we have to work for every dollar, and then we let our pennies count our dollars. I'll come back to that. Hold on. We feel like we got to be the accountant, the sales manager, the IT person, the social media person. We got to be everything in our business. And that's not necessarily true as it relates to being an entrepreneur. You don't have to be everything in your business. So stop letting your pennies count your dollars, and come back. Stop letting your pennies count your dollars. I keep saying that because you're supposed to write that down. Stop letting your pennies count your dollars and thinking that you have to be everything in your business. It's okay for you to hire someone and outsource and allow those things to be done, so you can focus on your strengths. You can focus on the things that you're good at, and make sure that you're able to serve the people that you're called to serve. So that's number 3. Make sure you hire yourself a tax professional in your life, and then really just the people, and surround yourself with those people who are able to assist you and to help you to grow your business to the level that you want to grow it to. All right, so that's number 3. Number four, I'm excited about this one because I encourage everyone to have themselves a personal financial plan. Remember earlier I said that habits transfer, right? They transfer. You're not just going to click on and things going to be great all of a sudden, okay? So with habits transferring, if you are terrible with your personal finances, boo-boo, you probably going to be terrible with your business finances, okay? I know it sounds terrible for me to say, but it is so true. So how do you create yourself a personal financial plan that really helps you. What I encourage, the first thing you want to do is while you're on your job, allow your job to fund your dream. I've heard so many people say, oh, you don't need that job. You don't need this. Yes, you do. You need the money from your job to fund your dream that you want to create, the lifestyle you want for yourself. And right now, that job is giving you the coins, all right? It's giving you the funds to make sure you can do so. So use those funds to pay off your debt. What I would encourage, the reason I say this, and I say, okay, if you were to pay off your debt, let's say you have a car note, and I actually had a friend, she did this, she did a wonderful job. She had a car note, she had credit cards, and those consumer cards, and she was like, you know what, Candace, I really want to quit my job. And I told her, hey, you got too many bills over here, too much debt over here, talking about quitting your job right now. What's happening is that if you quit your job, honey, your business money is going to be funding your lifestyle as it relates to the expenses and the debt. You don't want your business money to fund your debt. No, you want your business money to be expanding your business and to be used for the expansion, right? The greatness of what you're wanting to do. But if it's funding your debt, then you just kind of creating yourself a cycle, and it's pointless, and you're becoming a slave to your business because you got to pay your bills. Did you hear me? You're becoming a slave to your business because you got to pay your bills, and now you're just working to pay bills. It's the same thing you were doing, and you created yourself a job, the same thing you were doing at the other job, and now it's just the same kind of stress. You're just doing it for yourself. So I encourage you to pay your debt off first. What does that look like? If you pay the car note, let's say your car note's $400 a month, and then you pay an additional, let's say $500, $600 a month in just different credit cards and student loans and things like that may be happening to you in your life. Well, I encourage you, let's take care of those debts. If you take care of those debts, boom, you just wiped away $1,000 worth of expenses that you were normally paying that are now gone away because you paid off the debt. Now, this can look different for everyone. I encourage you to make sure you put together a good plan. And I'm not saying stay on your job forever because you have your mortgage and things like that. I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is do your best to clear out as much as of the consumer debt that you can so that your expenses are lower, and now it doesn't take as much for you to live off of every month, and that money that you're making in your business can now be funded towards your dreams and not towards your debt. We got to give our money direction as we relate and going through this process. Okay, so that's your financial plan. Make sure you have a financial plan as you're doing for your personal self, and then it makes it easier to transition for your business expenses and all those things that happen together. Okay, so that's number 4. Number 1, don't worry about it. Yeah, let's do it. Number 1, do 100% on your job. Number 2, make sure you do activity management. Number 3, hire yourself a tax professional and make sure you surround yourself with people who are able to help you expand and elevate your business. And number 4 is to have a personal financial plan, because habits transfer, and to make sure that you can do the things you need to do with your personal life so that it doesn't bleed over into your business life with those bad habits. Okay. Number 5. We're almost done. And I know you're excited. You want to know what is it? What's number 5? Number 5 is to create yourself a contingency fund. And you're like, a contingency fund? What is that? I'll tell you what happened. So one of my friends, she said, Candace, life has just hit really hard lately. We had a small fender bender. Our washer and dryer, no, it was a washer went out, washer and dryer went out. And then what she say? Then our phones got cracked. It was just so much stuff going on all at one time. And she said, you know what, Candace? But I wasn't worried because I had my contingency fund in place. And I said, yes, honey, because your contingency fund was able to allow you to write the check. Because when you can write the check for the challenge, it's not an emergency. It's just a mere inconvenience. I'll say it again. If you can write the check for the challenge, it's not an emergency. It's just an inconvenience. And with that in mind, you want to make sure that you're setting yourself up so that if something happens, let's say you have an inconvenience in your life. Let's say the sales aren't coming through like you thought they would, right? Everybody said that they were going to support you when you quit your job. Everybody said they would be there. All your customers were there and they were so consistent while you were working. But as soon as you quit that job, it seemed like everybody just went away and scattered. Well, guess what? when that happens, you have to still be able to keep yourself from going back to your job. You have to make sure that, well, I still have 3 to 6 months of my expenses here, so I can still take care of myself. At the minimum 3 months you want of your expenses that it takes for you to live and to run your household, to run your business. So let's say it takes you $2,000 a month to make sure you can take care of all of your expenses to live and to go without getting a job. Well, that $2,000 a month, that means you need about $6,000 to cover you just in case an inconvenience happens. You can write the check for the challenge. Okay. And with that in mind, that's the minimum. So we need at least 3 months, but 6 months is ideal. And that's wonderful. But if you like, I can't take this job no more and I gotta go. I cannot take this job anymore. I gotta go. If you have 3 months, it is okay for you to make it happen with those 3 months. All right. So I'm encouraging to make sure that you have the proper provisions in place to make sure you're okay. Because if you think about it, at this point, right, you're thinking it and you're making it happen. You're doing things that you need to do. But this is the thought process. You do what you have to do until you can do what you want to do. Oh, the great Oprah Winfrey said that. She said, you do what you have to do until you can do what you want to do. And when you think about it, I'm like, that's a wonderful quote. And you want to be able to quit your job and be your own boss. And you want to be able to have it and I'm not saying there's not going to be struggles now. Let me tell you, entrepreneurship is one of the greatest things you can do, but it's also one of the toughest things that you can do. With that in mind, whenever you're going through the process and you're like, okay, just be sure not to rush the process. You got to trust the process. Don't rush the process, but you can't rush something that you want to last forever. That's a word. Let me say it again. You can't rush a process that you want to last forever. You want to be your own boss and you want to run that business. You want to have your job now so that you can provide jobs for later. You can't rush that process. And honestly, as you're doing it, and the quote that I live by, I do is called, the better you get, the better life gets. So as you continue through the process and you're going through these steps, you're getting better and you're doing the things in your life that you want to do, guess what? The better you get, the better life gets. And things will just get better and better and it'll become more smooth and easy for you. But you got to make sure that you take care of the proper steps before you do it. Now, because you're a part of the Women's Rise Network, I'm going to give you one more amazing thing that's just near and dear to my heart, okay? Some of you, and I know you're listening to this and you're looking at this and you're like, yeah, girl, you sound good, but I'm going to do my thing anyway because I have a retirement account and I could just pull my retirement account and that'll give me all of the stuff I need that you just put on that list and I could just go pay for it. And I would say, you're right. But those who cut corners get cut. Those who cut corners get cut. Don't try to cut corners and pull from your retirement plan just because you feel like you have it, and then you get hit with those tax penalties. Now you're clearing out all of your funds, and you don't have anything left to where when you wanted to jumpstart your retirement, because one day you want to stop working, even though you're a business owner, you have that there as a means of starting that process. So I encourage you, don't just try to skip steps and cut corners during this process and pulling from your retirement funds and things like that. Make sure you go through the process. It's okay. It's all right. You can do it. And you can be your own boss if that's what you want to do. Yeah, that's great. But you got to make sure you take the proper steps and you do what you have to do so that you can do what you want to do. So my name is Candace Woodruff. You guys are a part of the Rise Women's Network, which is amazing. And I am glad to be sharing with you. Us here at the Tax Free Life Network, we love sharing information, great information, financial tips, tax tips, just things to help you grow your revenue without using your labor. And I appreciate the opportunity to collaborate with you and to make sure that we all do it together, because as our people always say, right? And I believe Trevor came up with this, 1 + 1 = 2. But 1 and 1, when we collaborate, is #11 collaborate, and we're collaborating in love. So thank you for watching, and we'll see each and every one of you at the top.